What happens when a show abandons one of its most promising characters, especially when the character is charming,
Don't hate me because I'm beautiful.
cool,
Who cares how the French talk? I like how they kiss.
and smart?
He said, ho, 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 oh, oh!
In this video, we will be talking about Eric Mathews from Boy Meets World. Now, growing up, I really liked the show, and I really liked the character of Eric Mathews. I thought he was a very funny and lovable and likable character. He was a much normal character in comparison to what he became in the later seasons. Now, in the early seasons, he was just very normal, older teenage brother who was going through his life phases and um, would have his fair share of life lessons where he would be faced to, make decisions. He would be put into some difficult situations with the right decision, and he would be tested. And this would kind of like eventually, slowly, in a subtle way, lead to his character progression. For example, in the first season, when Eric failed his driver's test and lied to his parents about it, and um, the bottom line is his car gets towed, and he eventually has to tell his parents the truth. And so, the moral of the story was that you don't lie about something like that. What you do is you take the L and you redo something that you failed, right? So Eric would have like um, moments or situations like these, especially in early seasons. Now, in the later seasons, this character becomes just like a comic relief, a punchline, and even the characters within the show just wouldn't take him seriously. And it just kind of seemed like the show kind of gave up on this character and just kind of used him as this like goofy, funny character. And don't get me wrong, um, Will Friedle, the actor who played Eric Matthews, is a very funny guy, and he made some, memorable moments on the show. But it is still pretty sad because I feel that the show could have went a whole new direction, which could have added a whole new layer to the show. And what's even worse is that they actually were um, making this character into a more layered and genuine character, and which was occurring in season 3 and 4. Now, in season 3 and 4, I feel that the creators struggled with Eric's storyline because this is a season where he was a senior in high school and he's trying to get into college. He's trying to keep up with his friends. And um, obviously, in one of the earlier seasons, it was hinted upon that he's not very serious, he's not that motivated, doesn't take school that seriously. He doesn't have any real plans about the future and what he wants to do in life. So this season did seem like a bit of a natural progression for someone like that because I think we can all relate that we knew individuals like that in high school as well. And this situation where he's trying to go to the next phase of his life where he doesn't really know what to do is such a relatable aspect to anyone's life. And so in this season, he's just trying to cram everything in the last moment. He's trying to undo the last like 3 to 4 years of high school, and he's trying to get his grades up. He's trying all these different like schemes and stuff to get into college. And towards the end of season 3, I think the creators took a very realistic perspective where he doesn't get into college. Right when or right before when he's going off for his across the country tour, he gets like a rejection letter from one of the colleges that he really thought he would get into, and he's disheartened, he's sad, and he's confused, and that's where we start from in season 4. Now, season 4 was probably the most in terms of Eric's storyline, because he didn't get into college, he doesn't have a job, he doesn't have any future prospects, and he just doesn't know what to do with himself. And there's also that notion of like him feeling like a failure because all of his friends kind of moved on, and he's just this guy at home who's doing nothing with his life.
This is really about. I don't think you'd understand. Try me. I don't see the point in going back home. Why not? Because there's nothing there for me, Dad. I mean, I went to nursery school, grammar school, high school. For what? I mean, I didn't get into college. Everything I've done up until now has been a waste, and it's just too late to change who I am. Uh-huh. See, I knew you wouldn't understand.
And so he goes through a series of events in that season where he really develops into a mature guy, or at least it was lining up to be that way. He starts working with his dad. His dad opens up a sporting goods store, and eventually, I think he has a bit of a confrontation, and I think his mom fires him from the store, and so he gets a new job as a security guard, and his partner is an immigrant. I'm not sure which country he was from, but he was an immigrant who was an engineer back home. And so, because it's a sitcom, so in one of their duties, they are, I think, patrolling outside of John Adams High, which is their high school. And they kind of have like this dull period during their shift. And so his partner takes out an SATs book, and he starts reading that. And Eric kind of questions him. He's like, "Oh, why are you reading the SATs book? I mean, I thought you already went to college back home and have an engineering degree." And he says, "Well, yeah, but I have to start over. I have to start all over again here. Simply because my degree won't be accredited here." And this really puts things into perspective for Eric, because he realizes that a person who's an immigrant, he did his part, in accordance with Eric. He did his part. He, went to college, got his engineering degree, but now he's in a different country who has more opportunities, perhaps back home, and he's willing to start over again simply because he knows that this country has more opportunities, and you know because his degree isn't accredited, he's willing to start over again just to have a better life. And the reason this is inspiring is because you have to work hard in life. There's no, shortcut.
Trying to get into college, and this is the book that helps you prepare for the entrance exam.
Wait a second, I thought you said that back home you were like an engineer or something.
Well, back home, I am an engineer, but here they don't know that. I must start over, and I'm willing to.
Wait a second. You've already gone to college and now you want to go again?
And I know it's a lot of hard work, but anything of value is worth that hard work. And in this country, there are so many opportunities.
There is no easy way out, and that's what Eric kind of believed, I guess, subconsciously. He was just kind of cruising through life. He just kind of believed everything was easy, or would work out. But that's not true. You have to work hard. You need to have some sort of a plan, and you have to go along with that plan long enough to see to experience the failures and successes of it. And so I thought Eric, as a character, was progressing very nicely, and the sort of storyline the show was presenting was very realistic, and um, a storyline a lot of kids in their phone reviews that could learn from. So, this inspires Eric to take his SATs. he takes them, he does well on them, and he gets into Pembroke. So there's that beautiful scene where he goes back to his parents at the store, and he tells his parents that he took the SATs, he did well on them, and they're super happy, they're super proud.
And I remember that one of the things that you taught me was that I could be anything that I wanted to be.
Yes, I did.
Do you still believe that?
Yes, I do. If you don't take the easy way out and you try as hard as you can.
Well, I hope you're right, because I tried as hard as I could.
SAT scores?
And this whole season 4 storyline was so beautifully done, especially when I think about it. Now that I'm uh, pretty ahead in my academic career, having graduated last year, is that a lot of the stuff that Eric went through, a lot of people who are in their adolescence uh, stage go through as well. Another beautiful arc that season 4 touched upon was Mr. Feeney talks to Amy and Alan, and he mentions how, because Mr. Feeney has been Eric's teacher um, in when he was in elementary school as well as in high school as well. So he tells Alan and Amy that Eric puts half the effort but still managed to get by in comparison to um, other kids that he knows would put in a lot of effort and would just manage to get by. And so he brings up the notion that Eric is actually pretty capable. It's just that he never applies himself. He's too lazy. And this really makes Amy and Alan question themselves. Now, Amy and Alan, they were great parents, and I think it was one of the best portrayal of how parents should be, and they really were these great parents on the show. But parents aren't perfect either, and so they question their parenting skills, and they realize that they never really pushed Eric. They always made things easy for him. They softened his consequences as well, and there's a reason why he's kind of lazy, or why he's kind of spoiled. And I feel that was something like great that that the creators like touched upon, because growing up I did see um the type of older siblings, or firstborns, they kind of like went two ways in my opinion. Either it was kind of like Eric, where like they were spoiled, parents didn't push them hard enough, they were kind of lazy, or they weren't as um they didn't persevere as well. They weren't as persistent is the word I'm looking for. And this is primarily because parents, they are new when they're new to parenting, when they have their firstborn, and they're just trying to like figure out the whole parenting situation, and they're bound to make mistakes, right? Or there's another scenario or case where the older siblings become the third parent, and third parent when they are kids themselves, and this kind of makes them develop unhealthy attributes later in life, where they um, are a lot more controlling, maybe hyper aware of stuff. And there's also that situation where they have like a parental relationship with their spouses later in life. And so I thought this was like a very interesting um, story arc to touch upon. And that's one of the reasons why Eric is lazy. And I thought, like, with all these like storylines combined, the show creators were definitely ramping this character into something beautiful. You know, someone who is having this growth in life and developing into this like well-rounded, mature individual who has gone through, you know, some of the worst phases of his life. And, you know, he is learning the art of perseverance, hard work, and applying yourself, believing in yourself. And also, you know, once you get to a certain level, developing sympathy and empathy towards people who are also struggling. Now, I know some people may disagree with the whole college story arc, and a lot of people do believe in the notion that college isn't for everyone, and that's absolutely true. But in Eric's case, he never even tried. He never even applied himself. Um, as someone who's a fan of the show, I did watch their podcast, and I remember when they were um, you know, talking about season 4 and when they touched the arc of Eric going to college. I believe Will Friedle did say that he kind of disagreed with the story arc of Eric going to college because not everyone needs to go to college and you don't need college to be successful. And they really did kind of like debate upon that whole storyline. That's true, but in Eric's case, he never really applied himself. He never even tried in the first place. So, and just because you know you try something um, for the first time or you're new at trying something, you need to stick with it long enough to experience the successes and failures, right? And in Eric's case, he went back, tried hard, did everything the right way, applied himself, and he reaped the results. So I think that was another sort of concern I had regarding because a lot of people when they look back at the shows from the 90s where everything was kind of clear cut and everything had to end in life lessons. Well, you know, it is a TV show for kids, and I do think I think it was a good trend to have, you know, to have the storylines and episodes end in life lessons and where the characters have learned something. I grew up watching those shows, and I think it really just helps you distinguish between what's good and right at times. So I think it's very sad that the creators decided to go into a very different direction with Eric.
I cheated, Mr. Feeney. I had the answers to the test written on my hand.
You know, turning him into this like comic relief punchline character, because in season 3 and 4 they were lining him up into a very beautiful character, and I think it would have added to a new layer or a whole new different layer to the show, and definitely would have added to the storyline or the premise of the show where boy meets world, because you are essentially learning about life, you're dealing with all these like life lessons and developing yourself and growing and eventually becoming into a good adult. And I think his character would have added to that premise, and a character that people would have remembered to be this like good character, this great character, if you know they had went along with that character of him maturing, learning to apply himself, doing well in college. I really wish that they kind of extended that storyline in college as well, where he's just trying to discover something that he's great at, and everything is like falling into place, or he's meeting these like new people and he's developing into um you know this side that he never thought he had, kind of a thing. um and I really wish that the show kind of went along with that story arc, Um, Especially because in the end, it was just like painful to watch because the characters on the show would treat him as if he was like this like liability, someone who had some sort of like a mental issue for not like processing information and not like being able to conduct themselves as a normal adult. I get it, it's a sitcom, but it's still like painful to watch something like that, especially because like Eric, um, in contrast to like some of the other characters, and I think this goes to the credit of the actor Will Friedle. He had this like very kind-heartedness to his character. He had this very big heart, you know, good intentions, this very big heart. Especially when he wanted to adopt the kid from the orphanage, and he loved hanging out with him. He gave him the older brother experience, and he felt very deeply for him. And when he learns that a family who would probably provide him with a better future, more resources, um, has agreed to adopt the kid, he lets him go, and he makes a very selfless decision.
I told them I wouldn't go with anybody else.
Oh, look, Tom, if these people are good enough to adopt you, then I'm sure they're gonna be good enough to let me keep being your big brother. We'll just tell them that I come along as part of the deal.
That's not gonna work.
Why? Oh, I know why. Because you're afraid after they meet me, they're gonna like me better than you. That's pretty selfish, Thomas.
They live in California.
And these are like one of the moments where you realize that Eric as a character was such a good character. Not because he was a good human being, but like these like storylines were great to inspire kids in their formative years. And it's very sad that they just went into a completely different direction. And I really wished that they did justice to this character. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I will be making more video essays about characters that I found interesting. I will be making a video essay about Mr. Feeney as well. He's one of the most important figures from the show as well, and he had just such a great character, and it would be very fun to talk about him as well. If you like this video, if you like to see more of this sort of content, please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.